Hi, this is Kevin Deal. Today we're going to talk about the Pathos InPol2. I was sitting at home and I was listening to Leonard Cohen do Famous Blue Raincoat. And people think about that song, they go, oh no, Jennifer Warnes did it. No, it's a Leonard Cohen song. And if you want to hear that song the way that it was intended, go read the Financial Times article that they did about that song and about Leonard Cohen. And you'll find out that it's about a guy who lost his wife to a thin gypsy thief. And I was listening to it through my new Pathos adrenaline amplifiers on my Focal Grand Utopias. And I'd never heard it like that before because, I mean, it's an amazing, stunning song. But in part of the song, there's a pair of female voices that come in and they sound like ghosts. And that's an effect that he's looking for because it sounds like the plaintive wail of a man who has lost his wife to a thin gypsy thief, you know, and now their marriage is over and the thin gypsy thief went on and his wife is, you know, it's just a disaster of a song, but it's a very touching song. But the thing is, I'd never heard it like that because the sound came out of nowhere, and that is because of this InPol design. I'm going to explain why it is so different in just a moment. God, I just loved it. And I called the guys, I go, get me an InPol amp up. So we had this one, we grabbed it, and here we are. Look, I love Pathos. I love Pathos. Everybody loves Pathos. In Europe, this is a company that is on fire. Well, first off, they're a real manufacturer. They are a boutique, real manufacturer and fabricator. In the United States, there's a lot of companies that say made in America, and they don't make a damn thing here. And they're probably better off for doing it that way, frankly. But, you know, they take printed circuit boards made in China. They take a chassis made in China, power transformer made in China. They got one guy with a screw gun that goes, plugs in a couple plugs, boom, made, handmade in the United States. And it is just not true. Of course, there's a couple of manufacturers that are still doing it, but most of them are not. When I went to this factory, I was absolutely shocked because I did not know how much they were doing there. I'm there, and I asked Damiano, I go, well, what about the circuit boards? I mean, you're getting the circuit board stuff in China, right? He goes, no, we don't do. There's a very good high tech. Everything is like 60 kilometers of the factory. I go, you mean you don't stuff this? No, circuit boards are made here. I go, oh my God. Well, what about these beautiful, massive capacitors? And I looked at them, they're made in Italy. What about the metalwork? Everybody's doing their metalwork overseas. You know, it used to be done by Neil Fay. That's where everybody's getting this. Not anymore, right? The metalwork is done in Italy. Not only that, they have their own paint shop there. So look at this beautiful heatsink that spells out Pathos on the side. They don't make this there because of the way it's made. It's sandcast, but they do cut them and trim them up and do all that stuff, and then they actually paint them at the factory. I go, what? And then I said, well, but we were at lunch at this point, and my head was just spinning. And I said, well, what about this wood trim? You can't be doing the wood trim here. And Luca says, Luca is Gaetano's son. And he goes, I do. I go, what do you mean you do? He goes, I do it. And they explain that there's a picture on the Pathos website of a hand sanding a piece of wood, and that's Luca's hand. And then after he said that, Gaetano goes like this. He laughs. He goes, ha, 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 like that. And I go, what does that mean? They go, oh, well, because we buy a tree. You buy a tree? Yeah, they buy a Paduke tree. Then they cut it into wood planks, and then they cut that into the trim pieces for their beautiful amplifiers. I said, even for the remote? Yes, even for the remote. Look at this. It's laser engraved, and this is a piece of Paduke wood from a tree that they bought. I said, well, what about the rest of it? I mean, the metal. And they go, I do. I go, what? Look, come on. Go look at the remote control that came with your other products, right? A $10,000 product. They give you a tchotchke remote. I mean, that costs less than $5. You know, and I'm talking to him about it, and Luca gets on his phone hits a couple buttons, and then my phone vibrates. And he sent me this video, and I'll show it to you. Now, that's what I'm talking about, right? That is a company that is full of passion, that really takes pride in making things in-house, and it comes across in all of their products. Every product that they make is beautiful to touch and feel and to own. It is very, very much the Ferrari of high-end audio electronics. There is no doubt about that. But the problem is, they're just like Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari said, "I will make one fewer car than we can sell." And it's kind of like that with Pathos. In Europe, they don't mind waiting 6, 8 weeks or longer for a product. They just roll different over there. And I don't think that Pathos understood the American market. And they were being distributed before by another company that was a turntable distributor. And very, very good people, but they were not into this the way I am. You know, I'm into the guts and how things work, parts and engineering. And the other thing is, there was a thing where if you wanted one of these, you would have to wait. And I am solving that. I have solved it because we have been building up inventory and getting things built. And I'm going to make this where if you want a piece of Pathos, whatever color it is, I'm going to do my best to make sure that you have it, either coming, through one of our Pathos dealers, so you don't have to wait anymore. Because I know what Americans are like. You go, no, I want it. I got to wait. How long? They're not going to wait. So what makes this product so different? Okay, InPol is a patented design. There is no other product like it. Now, you got to know something. I'm a tube guy, right? I mean, I've told you that. I'd rather have a $3,000 tube integrated amp over a stack of solid state oftentimes. But this is a completely different thing. Gaetano and his partners back in the day, because they've been around for decades, they have a patent on this design that is completely different. It is very, very difficult to wrap your mind around how it works. So I'm going to boil it down for you. That's a pair of 12AX7s. That's a pair of 12AU7s. They go through a pair of big, massive inductors. This is a 45 watt per channel amplifier that weighs over 83 pounds. 45 watts, 83 pounds. And that's because of transformers. It's got a big toroidal power transformer that's potted and encapsulated for the front end, for the tubes. The tubes increase voltage from your source component, like your CD player or whatever your component is, through a fully balanced circuit, because this is what they call double InPol. It is a fully balanced design. And then it goes through a pair of big inductors. What are inductors? They look like a choke. They look like a transformer. And they are massive. There's one for this side and one for that side. And then coming off of those things, that goes to a pair of MOSFETs. And the best way to describe it is this. It is like taking an engine and putting a supercharger on it. So the tubes supply voltage. This is a tube amp. You are listening to tubes. It supplies all the voltage, goes to the chokes, goes to some MOSFETs, and because of the way it is being supercharged, the MOSFETs can go beyond their theoretical limits. And what is the effect of that? It sounds like the music has been electrified into the air of the room. Did you ever watch this? I was just thinking about how to describe this to you. There's a story about Nikola Tesla, right? When Tesla was coming up with electricity, he thought, I saw this documentary where he thought he would be able to transfer energy through the air, transfer electricity, and he went and he built some house somewhere and had these big crazy antennas, and the neighbors and everybody was worried because they thought he would light the atmosphere on fire and destroy the world or destroy the town. And I want you to think of it in those terms. Think about it as if you are transmitting energy through the air, but in this case, the energy is going to be a musical signal that's coming out of your speakers. It comes out of the speakers absolutely effortless, and that's why I was so inspired to come talk to you guys about this, because I've heard that song before. But I've never heard the wail of this woman's voice coming out of both speakers from nothing. Think about a pair of electrostatic speakers. I'm an electrostatic guy myself because there's certain things they don't do that I like. But think about the first time you heard them. Most people are blown away that the music can come out of something that's clear, that seems to come out of nowhere. And that's what this amp and all Pathos InPol amps do. It's effortless. And it's not because it's Class A. That's not what makes this sound that way. It's because of the InPol design. I mean, I've heard Class A amps before, and some of them are really nice, and then some of them are like, I don't care. I mean, it's just not that big of a deal to me. I don't make a big deal out of an amp being Class A. But this is something that is different. It has 5 sets of RCA inputs, and then it has 2 sets of fully balanced inputs, because this is a fully balanced design. So if you have balanced components that really are balanced, then you're going to be able to take advantage of that. It has a set of subwoofer out, which is a full frequency preamplifier out with RCA jacks. It has a tape monitor out, and it has 2 sets of speaker output taps. So if you want to truly by wire your speakers, you are going to be able to do so. The volume control is super, super slick. I'm going to try to get a B-roll to show you some of this stuff, but this thing was really hard to take apart. The volume control is done the way I love it. I mean, volume controls are the Achilles heel of so many components because a lot of manufacturers use chips. And the problem is they use chips that sound like chips. You've heard me talk about this before, right? Where the volume control has can create an electronic sheen to the music. What they did here was, you raise and lower the volume on this, you're going to hear a bunch of click, click, clicks coming from the amplifier. Those are the clicks of quality. What do I mean by that? It's a fully balanced volume control, and it uses relays to switch in and out, and it has a laddered resistor network for both channels built into here. That is a very, very expensive way to build something, but it's the best way. So what can you use this thing with? All right, look, if you're a crazy rock and roller and you got a pair of speakers that are 84, 85 dB efficient, and you got a big, massive room, and you like to play Ted Nugent Wango Tango cranked up, look elsewhere. This is not for you. 45 watts is a ton of power. You've heard me talk about other products that I sell that are 36 watts and just how powerful they can be, but it is still 45 watts. This is going to be appropriate for somebody that plays. If you've got a speaker that's 86 dB efficient, it's going to be absolutely fine as long as you're not a crazy rock and roller with a big room and you want to crank it up. If you're playing it because I hooked this up to speakers that are 86 dB efficient, and it was absolutely plenty for my listening. If you have higher efficiency speakers, then you're going to be golden. Speakers that are 87, 88, 89 dB efficient, it's gonna rock your world. Like I said, look at what this thing does for the price. Look at the way that it is built. Go to your Pathos. I want to make sure that you go to a local dealer if you have one, right? You don't have to get everything through, you can contact us and we will make sure that we help you, but we want to make sure that we keep other people in business. Every town is better off if they have a local hi-fi store and if they have a record store. I don't have to have all the business. I want to make sure everybody's happy. I want to make sure that you're happy. So check out Pathos. Find out what they're about. Don't listen to what I have to say. Don't trust what I have to say. Do your own due diligence. Make sure that you look inside the box. Use Google Images to see what you are getting for your money and that it weighs something. Thanks for listening.